learning to embrace this moment and enjoy this moment just as it is, at the level of feeling, using breathing. And by the end of the session, you're gonna have some experience doing that, and it's gonna feel good. But why would you actually want to do it? Why do you need to learn that? Well, just consider this question, okay? When did you first start to ignore your true feelings? When did you first start to ignore your true feelings? Because it's something that all of us do to some extent, just to get through life, right? Because feelings can be overwhelming. And so we suppress them. But it's not something you've always done. When you were a kid, you didn't know how to do that. You just felt your feelings. It's a skill. Suppressing your feelings is a skill that you've learned. And no one teaches you the opposite skill, which we call integration. But we're gonna start learning it today. Well, why is suppression bad? It's not inherently bad. But when you try and insulate yourself from some of your feelings, you end up isolating yourself from a lot of your feelings. Because at the level of the feeling, your body doesn't know which feelings to ignore and suppress until you feel them. So it's better just to keep them all out of your conscious awareness, right? That's the strategy. But this blanket avoidance strategy, it backfires, because if we try and suppress everything, we miss out on everything. And that includes all of the things that happen at the level of feeling that give life its meaning. All the feelings of connection, of joy, of happiness, those subtle and deep feelings that give life meaning, we start to miss out on those. And feelings are always happening in the present. So when we start to suppress our feeling awareness, we're suppressing the present moment. We're not living in the moment, which is what we all want to do, right? Even books like The Power of Now, amazing for the philosophy, but how do we actually do it? I'm going to give you some really good tips on this. We've all had the experience of wanting to change how we feel. I wish I could change how I feel. As soon as we do that, we're suppressing the feelings that we are feeling. And here's the really important bit. The antidote to avoiding your feelings doesn't lie in changing them. It lies in approaching them differently. And by approaching them differently, I mean actually approaching the feelings. Not trying to change them, just approaching them. And this makes perfect sense. If you think about the language, the opposite of avoid is approach. So, in approaching our feelings, they begin to change. And what's really fascinating about that word, feeling, is that it has two words. Feeling, our feeling is a noun, and feeling, how to feel. Feeling is a verb. And so what we're doing is being proactive about that. We're turning it from a noun into a verb. It's no longer we're suppressing the feeling, it's we're feeling the feeling. And the gateway to doing that is through the breath. Because breathing is the most intimate relationship we actually have with the world around us. We're breathing in air, we're breathing in oxygen, we're breathing in life force energy, all this stuff, you can kind of feel it if you move your arm around. We're breathing that in and out with every breath, moving it into and out of our bodies, welcoming it. But it's not just an intimate relationship with the world outside of us. It's also an intimate relationship with the world inside of us, our emotional landscape. Just as we can welcome the air into our bodies, we can welcome the energy of our feelings using the breath. And the other thing that breathing can do is it can actually enhance the feelings. It intensifies the feelings when we begin circular breathing, intensifying the feelings that are there under the surface. And what we're doing with the attention as well changes with the feeling, because the feelings that we bring up, we can change the kind of attention we're paying by changing the breathing. Your emotions are a gift from your ancestors. They've literally been shaped and molded and sculpted and evolved over millions and, in fact, billions of years to protect you, keep you safe, to keep you moving through the world safely. They're there to make you move towards or away from the things that are dangerous or the things that make you feel safe and connected. That's reflected in our body language, right? Because we kind of move, our emotions are like moving us towards or away from things, or opening and closing us, right? But when we begin to fear the emotions themselves, we start to try and move away from the feelings like that are in here, right? We're moving ourselves away from the present moment, trying to leave our bodies and suppress everything. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there is an alchemy that can happen at the level of emotion, at the level of feeling. It's like if you shine a torch on an object, you start to reveal the light areas, the dark areas. The colours begin to reveal themselves. You can see the texture. Your experience of the object changes. The object doesn't change. Your experience of it changes. And that same relationship happens with awareness and feeling. So when we begin to shine the light of our awareness on the object, our feelings, the feelings change. They shift. When we stop suppressing them, they naturally become more enjoyable. Even things that we don't enjoy, like grief and anger, they become palatable. Grief turns into gratitude. Anger becomes purpose. And it works for two really significant reasons. The first one is as soon as you start focusing on your feelings, you realize that they're changing. As soon as you try and study any feeling in the body in any particular detail, you realize that the details are fleeting. You realize that if you try and use words to describe feelings, words are going to fail you. Because words are solid and permanent, but feelings are like shimmering and changing. It's a bit like the word ocean. It doesn't really do justice to the experience of the ocean with its shimmering patterns and waves and constant changing and undulations. The word ocean has no business trying to describe that. And our feelings are the same. We describe our feelings as, I'm sad. How does that actually feel? You can only experience it at the level of feeling. And once we realize that our feelings are constantly changing, that fear that we're stuck with them evaporates, disintegrates. We're never stuck with a feeling. Your feelings, they're like an electrical current moving through the body. They're constantly moving. It's energy that we're experiencing. It's like a river that ebbs and flows. And I guess that's why they call the present moment our current experience. The second reason is once we stop swimming against the current, life gets easier. It takes more effort to actually suppress all of our experience than it does just to let go and experience it. And I'm not telling you have to do this all the time, although you might find that once you start doing it, you do want to do it all the time. And what I'm going to hopefully give you some insight into today is how to integrate those feelings into the whole of your experience using breathing. And that word integrate's a bit like radical acceptance, if you're interested in Buddhism, but we just don't like the word acceptance because it sounds passive. What we're doing when we integrate something is the opposite of what we're doing when we're suppressing something. When we're suppressing something, we're boxing it off. We're fracturing our experience. As soon as we welcome it, it integrates into the whole, which is a fundamentally blissful experience. There's a real temptation when we're doing this breath work to go, nothing's happening, I've not relived my birth yet, I haven't had a past life experience yet, right? Don't worry about that. None of that matters. This is about being here now with whatever is happening. And you're already doing that anyway. Breathing, which we're going to use to bring up the feelings and to change the attention. Relaxation, softening, no longer suppressing, relaxing the body. Awareness, which just means studying the feelings, welcoming the feelings. Sometimes the awareness is good, right? But we need to shift it to a curious, receptive awareness, which you already have because you're here and you're smiling. You're already on this journey, okay? So that you don't need to worry. But it's just to let you know that whatever you're doing in a session is enough.